What is up, y'all? Welcome back to another video. In this video, we're back on another mock draft. And we're back on the mock draft machine. However, there's no machine here. You're probably like, what are you doing? I don't see a machine. Well, that's because there is no machine. But that's okay, because I used a machine. All right, I'm really confusing you here. I used a mock draft machine, just not on camera. I used a mock draft machine. I did multiple drafts, and I was trying to figure out which players I feel like the Lions could actually be going after. This is more of a predictive mock draft than anything. Also, some players that I do want, but this is kind of more of a predictive draft from what I've seen on film, players I've been watching. I really wanted to dig into each one of the players I was picking and add every round. I did multiple mock drafts to make sure I found the way I wanted. I feel like the Lions do, and other NFL teams probably do this too. They keep going through to find scenarios that would work the best to them, projected, maybe not using the mock draft machine, but they probably use other scenarios to project stuff. There also are two crazy trades in this, and I know some people are going to say they're impossible. Don't really worry about the picks as much. Well, I guess you kind of have to worry about the picks, but don't worry about them too much because I feel like there could be players or future picks involved. But just worry about what the Lions are really going after, okay? That's kind of the main point of the trades here. I do feel like the Lions will try to trade back. The report is already looking to do it, so I do feel like they will try that. In this video, I do trade back, but I also trade back up. You're going to see it's kind of crazy. I will show you guys a picture so you know I'm not lying that this actually did work out on the mock draft machine. Some of y'all are going to think I'm cheating or something. I'm not cheating, okay? I'll show you the picture at the end. Don't want to show you now because, you know, then you're going to see the players. By the way, the last player cut off. So again, I didn't cheat. The last player cut off. All right, let's just get this thing started. So with the third pick in 2020 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select nobody because they trade back. Yes, they trade back with the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think I have the trade details here. Oh, I am Roger Goodell a little bit. I don't have the trade. I do. They're crazy, okay? Just listen to this. Let's just keep it very simple. The Detroit Lions give away their third pick to the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are moving up to get their next to Jalen Ramsey. They could be going for a quarterback, but they're not. They really believe in Jeffrey Okudah, so they trade up to number 3 and give the Lions a lot. Let's just say that. Now, what's great about this and why this is somewhat possible, because one, I was looking at the point thing, so it made kind of sense when you look at the points. I did a video, but you know who I'm talking about, Jimmy Johnson. He made the point chart, so it kind of lines up, but keep in mind, they're not giving us the 20th pick, okay? So we're not getting the 20th pick of the draft, so that's why it kind of makes sense. So they're going to move up 6 spots to number 3. They're going to give their second-round pick, their third-round pick, and a couple of fourth-round picks as well. So they give us the house, right? They're just giving us it all, but they're going to keep that 20th pick so it's fair for them. That way they still have 2 first-round picks, and they give Jeffrey Okudah, who was kind of their dream draft pick, I guess. I don't know. So we're sitting at number 9 now. The Lions move all the way back to 9. Now I know what you're thinking. Oh, you'll have Simmons, also Okudah. What do you think? What are you doing, my man? Listen, it's kind of a predictive draft. I think this is what the Lions could be looking to do, okay? Give me a second here. So Lions are going to wait till they're on the clock. Obviously, Isaiah Simmons, Jeffrey Okudah, all those guys are gone. But first, you know what? Before they make that pick, they're going to do another trade. Now, they may do this before or after, I'm not sure. But the Detroit Lions are going to trade it back up. So they just acquired a buttload of picks, right? They acquired tons of picks. But they're going to use those picks to go right back up in the draft. And they're going to go right back up with the Atlanta Falcons. Yes, the Detroit Lions want to move back up. The Atlanta Falcons sit at number 16. So they're going to move back up in the draft. Now, why, you may ask? Well, I don't know if you can guess it or not, but you'll get to it in a second. The Lions are going to move up to the number 16 pick in the draft, and they're going to give the Atlanta Falcons second-round pick, which they got from the Jaguars, which was 42, 73, 109, and 116. So a second-round pick, a third-round pick, and 2 fourth-round picks to move back up with the Falcons, and the Falcons will give the Lions the 16th pick in the draft. So that's what the Detroit Lions do. Now let's get into the picks that they made. So at number 9, the Detroit Lions' first pick in the draft, the Detroit Lions select Jedrick Wills, the right tackle out of Alabama. And I know, stop. Everybody's everybody's losing their stuff. Like, Jedrick Wills? No lineman. Look, I think this is possible, okay? Don't get any crazy ideas. I really think this is possible. Lions go offensive lineman. Hopefully not at number 3, but their thought is they're looking to trade back. And if they can get a deal like that from the Jaguars, they're going to take it. And they do. And they move back and they take one of the best offensive linemen available. Now, he may not be the best offensive lineman. However, out of the best offensive linemen, this guy was a right tackle. I didn't want to draft a left tackle like Mekhi Becton, like Andrew Thomas, because I didn't want to draft a guy that would have to move Taylor Decker. I want to keep Taylor Decker where he is. Hopefully, he can keep improving. So what I did, I went right tackle with Jedrick Wills. I'm going to put Jedrick Wills at the right tackle position unless he balls out the right guard for some reason. And Big V will move to the right guard spot where he is a better run blocker so he doesn't have to protect Stafford. The main goal for the Lions this offseason should be to find a way to protect Stafford. They didn't address it very much when it came to free agency. They got an unproven player, so he's going to move the guard, and they're going to protect him with a tackle in the first round with Jedrick Wills. Maybe the best available. He'll come in and be a day 1 starter. I like the move. I do. It's for future as well. You got Big V locked up. You're going to lock up Taylor Decker. You got Frank Ragnow, and now you have Jedrick Wills. You have a young offensive line that's built for the future, and trenches is everything. Okay, Bob Quinn said for a long time he wants to make this offensive line work, and he's kind of finishing it off now. Here's the finishing touches with Jedrick Wills. So like I said before, 4, the Detroit Lions then acquired the 16th pick in a trade with the Atlanta Falcons. So at number 16, the Detroit Lions select Javon Kinlaw, the defensive lineman out of South Carolina. Now, if you guys watched my Tua video today, you'll see that Javon Kinlaw looked really good. And I was already high on Javon Kinlaw, so I looked at him even more. Kinlaw's a monster, and I'm still hanging on to that tweet where he, put his name in the Detroit Lions thing. I still feel like he likes Matt Patricia from the Senior Bowl. That connection could be something that you should definitely not sleep on. Liking a player is everything. I think the Detroit Lions really do like Javon Kinlaw, and I think Kinlaw likes the Lions. And because of that, the Detroit Lions move back up to make sure they get this man, okay? It's one thing to get talent and be smart with every pick and, points work out and everything like that. Forget about all that, okay? Forget about that for a second. They're going to get a guy that they really want here. I'm just speculating. And Javon Kinlaw that can help get pressure and finish off that defensive line. Want to talk about trenches? First 2 picks in the draft are trenches. Come on, man. You finished off the offensive line almost all the way. You also finished off the defensive line with Trey Flowers, Javon Kinlaw, and Danny Shelton. Come on, man. You already got depth behind you with Deshaun Hand, Nick Williams. This looks really good to me. Lions finish off the trenches. Now, they need to go get some playmakers. So that's exactly what they do. The Detroit Lions still hold the 35th pick in the second round because they traded away their other second round pick that they got from the Jaguars to the Falcons. See what I did there? Yeah. We're a little sneaky with it. So with the 35th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select J.K. Dobbins. Now, look, there was definitely some players I was thinking about here. Okay, A.J. Epinesa, Yetur Gross-Matos. The problem with those guys is that now that we've brought in Javon Kinlaw, I think Kinlaw is going to take a lot of that role away. And because of that, didn't think it makes sense. I don't think A.J. Epinesa or Yetur Gross-Matos, I'm thinking about a little more. They won't play that jack role. They would be on the D-line. Because of the Detroit Lions not usually putting a lot of guys on the D-line, I didn't want to go get another guy like that. Instead, we'll dress the edge or the jack role in a different way. We'll use both a rookie from last season, which hopefully comes back healthy, out of Clemson. Austin Bryant. We'll use Austin Bryant. We'll use a later draft pick for some depth as well. So Detroit Lions select J.K. Dobbins. They get a weapon, okay? They're trying to protect Stafford. So what do? They go get a right tackle, okay, to protect him from the pass rush. Maybe the best pass blocking offensive tackle in this draft. So they go get Jedrick Wills, and they're going to get him a weapon in the backfield in J.K. Dobbins. Now, does that mean Kerryon's gone? No. He could be, but I'm going to keep Kerryon Johnson around. I'm going to take pressure off of him. Instead of saying, we're giving up on you, instead, I'm going to say, let's pair you with another great running back, and you guys can kind of play off of each other. Some pressure off each other, and both of those running backs are going to be like a 1-2 punch in the NFL. J.K. Dobbins is not a pure just runner, so it kind of gives you a mix of a different threat when he's on the field. I think Kerryon can catch the ball a little bit too. So J.K. Dobbins is now in the backfield with Kerryon to take some pressure, hopefully keep him healthy. And the offense is looking pretty good, taking pressure off of Matthew Stafford. Not making him pass as much, but being a team that can, maybe make a run when it's colder out. You have to run the football. You got to run out games. We're getting a tackle and a great running back here to pair along with Kerryon. So I love it. Then our next pick at number 67 in the third round, the Detroit Lions select Cameron Dantzler, the cornerback out of Mississippi State. Now, Dantzler isn't the most exciting guy. I did see a video on Twitter, okay, that he ran like a 4.38. Now, I don't know, if that's official or not, but it's a 4.38. It looks pretty good to me. Thing is, Cameron Dantzler is a heck of a cornerback, and honestly, if he just could put on some more muscle, this guy would be one of the best cornerbacks, I think, in this draft class. I think this guy could easily be a second-round pick still, even though he's kind of just a little late. I mean, he's got the size when it comes to height, and I didn't want to go too small here. Like, I was looking at some other cornerbacks. I wanted to make sure I got a guy that was at least 6 foot, because I feel like the Lions don't go after a lot of guys that aren't 6 foot tall, unless it's specifically for that slot role, like Justin Coleman, who's 5'11". So I went with Cameron Dantzler, because I think his coverage ability in man-to-man obviously speaks for itself. So you add that. The 40 time looked really good, so he's definitely putting the time in, man. He knows what the problem is. He knows what's holding him back. It's the speed that we were concerned about. However, that doesn't translate exactly to the NFL. We understand that. Sometimes you have an off day, sometimes you have an on day. And we also understand that we need a guy that has some size. And I think Cameron Dantzler needs to come in and put it in the work. If he doesn't put in that work, Amani will start. Because now you have 2 solid outside cornerbacks, these guys can rotate. One can start, and maybe the other one will learn from the other one. Maybe Dantzler will come in and be a starter right away. Or maybe he's not, and he'll learn from Amani a little bit. He'll learn from Desmond Trufant. And those two can be the future, Amani and Cameron Dantzler. So I went with Cameron Dantzler here in the third round. Next up at number 85, the Lions still hold the 85th pick in the draft, which I believe is still the third round. Lions throw a little bit of curveball here. They get Kayvon Wallace, the safety out of Clemson. Not a guy I talked about a lot. However, I fell in love looking at Kayvon Wallace. Why? Because I feel like he fits this defense perfectly. This is a guy that played in the box a lot as a safety, and box safeties to me are guys that the Lions are going to be targeting. Why? Because they play in this scheme very, very well. Isaiah Simmons is very interesting because of the same reason, right? He plays as a box safety, and he can come up in the box, play almost as a hybrid linebacker. And I always look for guys that are very good when it comes to tackling. That's exactly what Kayvon Wallace is going to give you. Some people say that, he doesn't have the attributes to play on the outside. He can't play an outside cornerback, but he's not necessarily just your safety because he's not great at coverage. So they think he's going to play slot. I say forget all that. This guy's going to be a hybrid linebacker safety like an Isaiah Simmons, just a little bit smaller than Isaiah Simmons, almost like a Killebrew, hopefully better. No hate to Killebrew, I like Killebrew. And he's going to be a guy that the Lions can move around and put in many different spots. Can play a little bit of slot, can play a little bit of linebacker, play a little bit of safety. And the Lions right now, when I was looking at their safety group, Tracy Walker, Deron Harmon, those two guys who I believe are the top two guys are coverage guys. Now, Will Harris kind of gives you a nice little mix of leadership there, but those are coverage guys. So the Lions bring in a guy that they can move around, play at linebacker. At the linebacker position, they did not bring in a linebacker. Think about this, that covers very well. Reggie Ragland's not a coverage linebacker. Elijah Lee, special teams. Jared Davis, not a very good coverage linebacker. Johnny Tavai, kind of like that. So what did they do? They went out and got a safety that can play a little bit of linebacker here. I love it so far. Then at number 137, Lions have to wait a little bit until their next pick, but they go with Anthony Jennings here. Now, Anthony Jennings is not my most exciting pick, and it's probably not, I don't know if it's the best pick or not, but this is where the Lions go in the 4th round. Now, there's definitely concerns with Anthony Jennings for sure, and he's not a guy you want dropping back coverage, so that's why we brought in Kayvon Wallace. But he is an edge rusher, and he played a 3-4, and he played the outside linebacker there. This guy will compete for the jack role and be some depth, maybe he'll start, maybe he'll be depth with Austin Bryant at that jack position. Not a guy you want to drop back in coverage, but again, last year, Matt Patricia didn't make Devon Kennard draft back in coverage. He didn't do it very often, so they're bringing in Anthony Jennings. Now, we know that the Lions had a few virtual visits with some Alabama players. They have not had a virtual visit, however, with Anthony Jennings. But maybe they've asked about him. I don't know. I'm just going to throw it out there as a potential possibility. However, I think the Lions like guys from Alabama. I think they like SEC players. They go with Anthony Jennings here. Kind of a project, but maybe at some point he'll have a nice role. Maybe a guy that can play special teams as well. Then at number 140, the Lions are back on the clock. So just a couple picks later, and they get their future slot cornerback in Devin Duvernay. Not the biggest guy. Kind of looks like a running back to me a little bit, a wide receiver. I don't know why. Just kind of looks like a running back. So maybe he gives you that Antonio Gibson kind of mix, but he's going to be the next slot. We know Danny Amendola is coming up on age for sure. Someone actually made a good point that he should be the guy that maybe we're looking at instead of Marvin Jones because of the age. Marvin Jones could actually be brought back. He doesn't know about Danny Amendola, though, after the season. Good point. I'm going to go with Devin Duvernay. The Lions released Jonathan Duhart today, so I'm going to go with a wide receiver that could potentially be our next slot and give us some depth. The problem is I don't see the Lions going more than one wide receiver. Very tempted later in this draft to take Isaiah Hodgins. However, more than one wide receiver would kind of shock me. With the depth we already have with Travis Fulgham, now Devin Duvernay, Marvin Jones Jr., Kenny Galladay, Danny Amendola, Marvin Hall, it would shock me that the Lions would go another wide receiver, even though, they kind of could need it for next year, but for this year, they'd be kind of loaded. So I'm just going to go with one, and that's Devin Duvernay a little bit later. Then at number 149, the Lions select a quarterback. Look, I know it's kind of early, and it's not the best pick, and it's not who everybody's been talking about, who I've been talking about. It's not who everybody wants. But it is a guy that the Detroit Lions are familiar with from the Senior Bowl, Anthony Gordon. They got to work with this guy head-to-head out of Washington State. Now, he had a lot of touchdowns and a lot of interceptions, so definitely some concerns there. But that one-on-one, maybe, he got comfortable with him, and, they started. Maybe they had a little bond going on. I don't know. Maybe they enjoyed him as a quarterback. So I'm going to go with Anthony Gordon. I think knowing that Bob Quinn likes to take a quarterback each year, there's probably certain things that he picks out. The thing with Anthony Gordon is that they were with him at the Senior Bowl. That's what he picked out here. And you went with Anthony Gordon late, second to last pick in the draft. So the Lions get their backup quarterback behind Chase Daniel, a guy that's a project, right? He's an experimental quarterback. We'll see if he works out or not. And if not, next year we can do it all again. And finally, to finish off the draft at pick number 166, the Lions' final pick in the draft, Detroit Lions select Kevin Dotson, the offensive lineman out of Louisiana. Talked about him a lot, and that's one reason I went for him. I still feel like he's the biggest sleeper in this draft class, and I mean, look, some people may say he's a reach of 166. I don't think he is because I don't think he's a reach anywhere. I think this guy's an ultimate sleeper. And I'm going to go with the guard here. Kind of a project. Once again, these later picks can be like guys that you're just hoping, but you don't need it, right? You're hoping he's good, but you don't need him to put him in that role. So Kevin Dotson is one of those guys that, hey, if he works out, awesome. We could put him at left guard or right guard, potentially probably left guard because now Big V is there. If he doesn't, not a big deal. We'll make him as a backup. We'll give him 1 year to keep, learning, and we'll see if next year he can take over that role, and he can be some depth for this year. So that's the Lions draft. That is how it went down, okay? Definitely different than before. I wanted to mix it up. I know a whole bunch of people are going to say, this ain't true, this not going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen. It's probably going to be wrong. I'm hoping at least one of these are right, but man, had to go with a little bit of a predictive mock draft, also with one that, where I really looked at players deeper. So I think this was a cool way to do it. Definitely some weird trade scenario at the beginning, but really just focus on the picks. Wouldn't be shocked if the Lions try to go like this. So let me know your thoughts, comments below. Thank you for watching, and I'm out.